Hello, welcome everyone to our Undergraduate Research Week info session and Q&A for the Provost Undergraduate Fellowship. This is a mini grant or fellowship to support your research. My name is Annalisa Franz and I'm the Faculty Director of the Undergraduate Research Center. As a faculty member, I write a lot of grants and fellowships, and I'm also passionate in supporting students to gain these skills and also gain support for their research. So we're going to go over a few slides. Feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions or post them in the chat, and I can read and answer them there. And at the end, there'll be plenty of time to answer questions, and especially specific questions. The goal of this session is just to give you some general information and then dive into some specific details that you might not find on our website related to any unique questions you have about your own projects, how to come up with ideas, basically whatever you would like to get more advice about. All right, so the first information is where to find all of the details you need and the application for the Provost Undergraduate Fellowship. So finding the Provost Undergraduate Fellowship on our website, if you look under Research Programs and Awards, under URC Programs, in the menu, you will find at the bottom the section for Provost Undergraduate Fellowship. And if you click here, this will take you to the web pages that provide a lot of the information I'll be summarizing, providing you some additional details, and also take you to the application submission site. All right, so that should give you an idea about where to find more information and submit your application. The second most important thing is to let you know about the deadline. We have a fall deadline and also a spring deadline. The upcoming fall deadline is November 3rd, and this is the date for submitting your application. And there will also be a letter of recommendation, a letter that goes with that application that needs to be uploaded approximately 2 days later this year on November 5th. You can find more information and a reminder of these application deadlines on the website as well. In addition to my presentation today, there's actually already another presentation from last spring, a video that has tips for submitting and preparing and completing your application. So I also refer you to that for additional information. All right, briefly, the Provost Undergraduate Fellowship provides up to $1,800 in grant funding for undergraduates to pursue research or creative activities under faculty mentoring and supervision. We do have 2 calls a year, as I mentioned, one in the fall quarter and one in the spring quarter. This is for all majors, students in all colleges, and it's a really great opportunity to think about creative ideas, new projects, directions that you want to take your research and creative activities, but also gain skills in communicating about a topic, writing a grant proposal, thinking about budgets and justifications, and working with your faculty mentor or sponsor to develop new ideas and put those into action. So in order to be eligible, you must be an enrolled student to apply and enrolled during the quarters for which the research is carried out. Sometimes students will apply the fall quarter of their senior year, and that's great because it gives you time to complete the research in spring and possibly summer. If you are graduating as a senior, you would not really be able to apply in the spring because then you wouldn't have time to complete your research. So generally students apply in their freshman, sophomore, junior, or beginning of their senior years. You must be in good academic standing. You must have a faculty sponsor or mentor who will write a letter of recommendation for you about your project. And then you also want to consider that the application includes several components. I'll go over those on the next page. Our website, of course, also has more details about the application components. I'm going to talk about them here to give you insight into each part. All right, so here are those application details. The first thing is that there is an online cover page form. This won't take you that long to submit, but don't wait to the last minute. If you're trying to submit before 11:59 p.m. deadline, make sure to log on at least by 10 or 11 p.m., ideally before 5 p.m. and even the day before to submit your application. But don't wait till the last minute because there is an online cover page form in addition to the PDF forms that you need to upload. Now, the rest of the components are generally uploaded and must be uploaded as a PDF document. So the second component is the description of your proposed research project. I'll go into a little bit of this, and I'm sure this is also where you may have questions later on, and I'm happy to answer this because it can look a little bit different depending on whether you're writing for music, history, biology, chemistry, engineering. There are, of course, some similarities, but also some differences. So for this project description, or the proposed project, this is a 1-page, single-spaced, 12.1/2-inch margin paper. We don't give you much space. So the goal is to be able to communicate concisely and clearly about the research approach and methods and the importance of your project. So as part of this proposed project, you'll want to think about explaining what methods you plan to use. What is the time frame or timeline that you will consider? What is the context? Why is your project important? And we do require that you provide at least 3 citations in the body of the narrative and/or the references. This, of course, will look different depending on what area of research or creative activities, but even for areas of social sciences, music, design, you should be able to provide some citations related to the importance or the impact or potential impact of your research and creative activities. If necessary, these citations may be included on a second page so that they don't take away from that 1 page that you devote to your project description. So that is the main component of the PUF application. This is the part that, even though it's only 1 page, you want to start or already be thinking about this. You want to think about what makes you curious, what is relevant and important to your field, and how can you justify the importance of your research in the context of other work that might be going on. The next detail I want to talk about is the learning potential and relationship of the project to your education goals. This is essentially a mini essay where you describe in paragraph format the significance of this experience related to you and your academic or career plan. This is only 200 words, so clarity and brevity is important, but really it's hoping for us to hear from you. Why are you working on this project? What do you hope to get out of it? How might this connect to your future career goals, your future research goals? How will it complement the classes that you're taking? So think about this as a personal justification about your learning potential, kind of that extra selling of the proposal. While the description of the proposed project is a little more academic in nature, this section, this essay, really has to do with more of why is this project of personal interest to you. The next section is the detailed budget outline and justification narrative. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this on the next page, but this is a chance not to necessarily supplement your project details, but to provide very specific information about how much it's going to cost and show us that you have thought about the cost and justification for what you need to complete your research. We do not allow equipment purchases, but we do allow things like supplies, chemical reagents, music components. It depends on your research field, but the whole point is you need to be able to list the items that you need to purchase and provide justification that's appropriate for your research area. The final 2 things are in a copy of your undergraduate transcript. And please note that these should not be password protected and they should be submitted as a PDF. You will want to refer very specifically to the details on the PUF website for the exact way in which you should submit your transcript to make sure that it's not something that doesn't meet these criteria. And typically what I said was that this comes in, sometimes a student will submit it where it's password protected and we can't actually access the transcript. So we want to avoid that. The final thing is a letter of recommendation from a faculty member. So this is typically the professor that might be sponsoring you or a mentor for you during this project. And again, a reminder that all uploaded documents must be in PDF format. All right, a little bit more about a sample budget justification. Typically, this includes 2 components. The first is a paragraph, and then the second is a table that lists the items, source, cost, and justification. Here I've shown one that's very specifically related to chemical reagents, but you can see how the name or the reagent is listed, the quantity, the source, the reason for purchasing that chemical, and the price. And ultimately, you'll want to go ahead and add this up and confirm that the cost that you're trying to justify is less than the maximum amount that will be funded by the Undergraduate Research Center PUF Fellowship. The goal is not to find ways to add up to $1,800, which is the maximum. The goal here is to really think about what do you need to accomplish the goals that you have defined in your research proposal. Again, this can be very specific based on your research and creative activities project. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions, or you can contact our office at the Undergraduate Research Center to get more information. We are in the process of posting on the PUF website specific examples of different budget justifications. So you can see examples as samples or models to follow. These are, well, should be posted if you're watching the video recording of this. And if you're here live today, they'll be posted probably this weekend. So I mentioned that the letter of recommendation or a faculty letter of sponsorship or mentorship is required. Professor Jonathan Eisen has a great lab page and blog that does provide some helpful tips, and we've adapted and copied these tips because they match a lot of the same recommendations that we give. And so I just wanted to specifically reiterate here the importance and that it is a requirement to have a letter from your faculty mentor. So for your PUF application, a faculty mentor or sponsor should be willing to support your application and mention your ability to complete the research as described. For example, if you'd like to propose the building of a new rocket ship to go to the moon, the budget won't allow you to do that, and chances are you wouldn't be able to do that in the time allotted. A faculty mentor or sponsor would ideally consult with you and also be able to tell you that that might not be feasible with the time and money you have available. Now that's an extreme case, but ideally there might be something else, for example, that maybe takes 2 years instead of 1 year. And so the faculty mentor or sponsor can help you think about what needs to happen in the best time frame for the PUF fellowship. For the PUF grant, we want you to think about the timeline and the budget and what you can accomplish in the time frame. And the faculty mentor and sponsors letter will help you discuss this with them, but also provide us with information to confirm that. Just so you know, as with all letters of recommendation, if you need one from a professor, this is not when you should be asking a postdoc or project scientist or graduate student for a letter of recommendation. In this case, it should be someone on UC Davis's campus who has a faculty designation. For other letter of recommendation tips in general, make sure not to ask a postdoc or someone other than a faculty member if that is a specified requirement. Another really important tip is don't wait to ask for a letter of recommendation only a few days before the application is due or whatever you're applying for. In this case, for the PUF, ask now because the PUF deadline is coming up on November 3rd with the letter recommendations due on November 5th. And so it's a great time to ask the faculty mentor for a letter, giving them at least 2 weeks notice. This is especially important currently now during a pandemic when time is a little bit unpredictable. And so the faculty sponsor and mentor wants to be able to write the best letter for you. And so providing them with that advance notice will allow them to do so. You also want to send a description of the program or award for which you're applying. This will be really helpful and provide specific details to the faculty members so that they can write their letter in a way that supports you and advocates you with respect to the program or award that you're applying to. You also want to explain why you're applying. Think about including your CV, a copy of your proposal. If you've already discussed this with them, they may not require it, but it's very useful for them to have this information to write the strongest letter possible for you. Also, make it as easy as possible for them to write the letter. Do provide the detailed instructions and links, communicate with them, and don't feel shy about sending reminders. Faculty do get busy, and we never mind having a friendly, polite reminder for recommendation letters or other things like that. All right, I've given a brief summary here. I'm happy to answer questions. I do want to remind you that the application is due November 3rd and the letter of recommendation should be uploaded on November 5th. The specific website does have a lot more details as well as a tips video. And so my focus here for our Q&A is to be able to answer specific questions that you may find valuable in coming up with your idea, thinking about how to write your justification, and how to be as competitive as possible, or any other advice that boosts your confidence to go ahead and take the big step to write a Provost Undergraduate Fellowship. So I will stop sharing my slides and I will answer. Actually, first I'll just see if there's any questions in the chat. Please put any questions you have in the chat because we're still recording, and that'll leave the screen up there, and I'll answer those questions more generally. And then I'll be stopping the recording if you have specific questions that you don't feel comfortable asking during the recording. All right, you may be taking a minute to write questions in the chat, but during that pause, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. We'll use this to provide on our website, and hopefully it's helpful to all of you, those of you who might be listening to this in the recorded format, and I'll switch to a more interactive Q&A format with the other students. Oh, actually, thanks. I do have one question coming in. A question for the transcript requirement. Do you need to request an official transcript, or is the unofficial transcript something that you can download online first? I would actually refer directly to the website to confirm this. My initial thought is that the unofficial transcript is completely fine, but I would have to double check this. I know sometimes when you get an official transcript, that's when it's password protected, and we definitely want to avoid that. Your unofficial transcript should be fine. I'll make sure to double check the website to confirm if that is indeed the case. But I know we specifically indicate that on the website just because there has been some confusion, and we don't want students to spend more time getting an official transcript if that's not required. So generally we do accept unofficial transcripts. The most important thing is to have a transcript available so that we can confirm your good academic standing. And then sometimes our review panel for the PUFs does have questions just to see if you've taken coursework or how this research project complements and supports the coursework that you're also taking. All right, I will stop the recording and switch to more interactive questions. And I hope anyone who is listening to this in the video format, please contact us at the Undergraduate Research Center to answer any additional questions that you don't find answers to on our website. Make sure to check out the website. The PUF page has a lot of great detail as well.